Today on the Breaking Digital podcast, I've got an amazing guest all the way from Calgary in Canada, Western Canada, cowboy country, which is actually one of my old hometowns. I have Kelly Doody, who's president and co-founder of a couple of amazing organizations and events coming up. The Social School, the Press and Post, which is the agency level, and then the Post Forum as well, which is a fantastic event for marketing across Canada. So that's coming up as well. Kelly spends a lot of time not just delivering content and not just delivering social, but really trying to find those intrinsic, unique value that you can tell through storytelling. And although it's a buzzword, it's really important to trying to find that inspiration. And Kelly goes into a lot of detail in terms of developing that skill for her clients and that sort of thing, so that they can stand out, so that they can have that breakthrough. That's obviously really important in the online community. So it's about finding inspiration, and we talk a lot about that as well. So looking forward to chatting with Kelly.
Overwhelmed with online, or just wanting to learn more about how you can build a successful business amidst all of the self-appointed gurus, big buzzwords and empty promises? The Breaking Digital podcast by Doyle Bueller tells you exactly what smart entrepreneurs need to know to escape the clutter, get clear of the confusion, and pass the bullshit of building and growing a successful business online. It's about digital leadership and delivering the best value for your business online to your audience. Now, here's your host and author of the book on digital leadership and online marketing, The Digital Delusion, Doyle Bueller.
All right, so welcome back. Today I'm with the amazing, remarkable, super busy Kelly Doody from a number of companies, which she's actually going to explain to you in a minute. So welcome to the program, Kelly.
Thanks, Doyle.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Missing you in Canada right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, whereabouts are you?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
And just getting our first bit of snow.
Good old cowboy country.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So tell us a bit about yourself, Kelly. You're obviously big into social media and agency work and that sort of thing. Where does your story begin?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. My story is really marketing, all things marketing. And for a while, I was in media. So I was a columnist for a newspaper here in Calgary, and then some syndicated stuff beyond that. And then really just started to notice a shift, obviously, in the media landscape. This is going back to 2010-ish. And went to the dark side, started my own PR firm, and knew that I could help businesses sort of tell their story to what media was left, and also really capitalize on the growing thing that was social media. So it has kind of taken me from there into more digital marketing.
Yeah. So, and where are things today? Then you've got you have rather a number of businesses that you've sort of created in the last 2 years, which is fantastic. Which ones are those?
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, when I was doing PR, I knew, this is now just several years ago, I thought this could be something I take online. I was tired of service work, to be honest, one-to-one client and service-based work. So I packaged up my expertise, as they say, if I had any, and I created some online PR programs that I was delivering. In fact, I had a few Australians taking the program, and it was really neat because suddenly I was selling a product and not a service. But the entrepreneurial life gets lonely, and I ended up partnering up with a longtime friend and colleague named Sarah a year and a half ago, and we formed a bigger entity called Press and Post. So Press and Post is a digital marketing agency, and we basically support clients big and small with social media, content marketing, PR, just really strategic communications work, and run a lot of really neat campaigns and that kind of thing, primarily in Western Canada. And then the offshoot of that was the realization that not everybody wants to or can afford to work with an agency, and the time is ripe for people to have more in-house or DIY skills. And so the Social School was born. So that's our year-round training and educational entity where we run workshops and courses, webinars, and then a very large conference in October this year. It's actually happening in 2 weeks, and we're so thrilled that you're speaking at it.
Me too.
All the way from Perth, Australia. Yeah, we can't wait. And yeah, so it's just it's really fun actually, because with those two arms of our business, we're able to service a lot of people and capture those who want to do it themselves, as well as those who just need someone to do it for them.
Oh, fantastic. You've got such breadth there. That's amazing.
Thank you. Oh, we're trying.
Yeah, so in terms of like social media is obviously, well, how do you define social media? Let me start there.
Oh gosh, good question. I mean, it's shifting so quickly. Even in the year and a half that Press and Post has really truly been around, we've redone our website 3 times, and that just speaks to the different offerings the different services our clients require. So if, we think about where we were with social media as individuals or as business owners 3-4 years ago, it was very much about quantity over quality. And if you look at it right now, it's like these instead curated news feeds, as we all know, of really carefully put together posts and updates and blogs and e-newsletters and everything that I would consider content marketing, I guess, beyond just social media. And so for us, what that's led to is a huge need for creative. So photography and graphic designers and just really neat campaigns. I mean, some days we look in the mirror and we're like, holy smokes, we're an advertising agency. Oh, no, we're digital. Oh, no, we're just social. Wait, are we even doing PR anymore? I think it all just really gets lumped into, well, actually, for a while it was getting lumped into digital marketing, but now we're just saying it's modern marketing. This is actually, social media falls within marketing, as we all know, and it's such a big part of it. And it's the new frontier, I guess.
The new frontier. So that's without digital, though.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I guess. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. So do you feel that, like you said, it's kind of normal marketing nowadays? Is that because it's become so ingrained, or that it's sort of lost that digital side?
Yeah, I think it's just a given. In fact, when I was interviewing one of the speakers for our conference here coming up, it was really interesting. He works for a sporting goods company out of Vancouver, and he said, Kelly, we don't even use the word digital anymore. It's just such a given. And I thought, yeah, you're right. I mean, sure, there's traditional and everything else, if we're talking about print or mail drops or whatever, but so much of what we're doing is really just generally marketing. And on the same hand, you can say that several years ago, when it was sort of an entry-level job to have someone doing your social media for you and just pushing out messages on a different platform than what you were writing in your brochures, pamphlets, investor reports, whatever it was. Now we know what an important role that is, and that you better have someone pretty sophisticated and on the inside track of your company that's doing that for you, and if not, a whole team of people doing your social media for you, because it's so important. So I digress, but obviously we know that social and digital marketing and everything online is now just essentially marketing.
Yeah, it is. But I guess it sort of helps you classify and sort of put it into a box too, to say, hey, this is the digital side. This is Facebook. I don't know. I think it's more of a category identifier as opposed to sort of an industry thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I guess for us, we just, when we're working inside someone's campaigns or someone's marketing platforms or strategies, we just sort of see things as a whole now, and things are much less siloed than they used to be. I often look around at firms that are just doing PR and media relations anymore, and I think, how are you surviving? How are you just building websites? How are you just doing media outreach or just doing someone's social media? Because if they're not all talking to each other, then it becomes very difficult to move the needle, as they say, or see the return and the results that we're all looking for and that consumers expect. Things need to kind of work in conjunction with each other, and that's when all marketing platforms, when they're speaking to each other, I think it's a beautiful thing when you get what a company's doing and you think, oh yeah, I saw that billboard and I see that on social, and I also get that thing you dropped in my mailbox. And so it's I guess the whole thing is that as long as they're working together, then it's
it's really become more of an integrated approach, and yeah, I sort of asked the same question, like how do you survive if you're not sort of including all the other sort of elements and all the different channels associated with it?
right.
So,
Absolutely.
so it's a big job to manage. So what kind of companies do you typically deal with, and sort of what are their pains and what are their problems and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, great question. We work with a lot of, it just so happens that we work with a lot of lifestyle brands. So, restaurants and real estate retailers. We have several shopping malls and real estate developments that we work with. A lot of travel and tourism. And we, as much as we try and get into, I mean, we've had many tech companies and startups and oil and gas and, just sort of more manufacturing clientele. And we certainly like those. But one of the things that happened for us is when we saw there was one particular news outlet here. It was a biweekly a weekly newsletter or newspaper called Fast Forward Magazine. It was published in Calgary for 25 years, and it went out of business last March 2015. And that was when we said, okay, enough is enough. I had been working with so many clients on a PR level or a marketing level, and then they'd say to me, okay, now you know our company inside and out, Kelly, thanks for that PR stint, but could you write our blog and manage our e-newsletter and our social. And I personally, I got tired of managing other people's social media platforms. It can be very exhausting, and you've got to be very close to them to do it well, or have a team of people to do it well. So that was where I looked around and I thought, okay, there's so many unemployed or underemployed professional writers surrounding me now that would love to write about the cheese counter or, the ski lifts or whatever it would be for each of these clients. And so that's when we created the new age newsroom, we called it, of writers and journalists, editors, photographers, et cetera, that just were looking for work. And even though it wasn't the editorial, unbiased journalism that they maybe had been used to, and it was more brand journalism, it was certainly and is certainly what's paying the bills and can be really fun. So we dive in deeply with certain clients. Take a restaurant, for example, and we get to tell really fun stories about that restaurant, be it, from the farmers and suppliers of where they're getting their food to the people behind the counter and the chef and where it comes from, and then just lots of profiles on the guests or the clientele or the neighborhood or whatever. And so what we're finding is that even though it's writing about, one company, quite often, when given permission, if you're able to deep dive into that company's stories, you can create some just really great content. And then taking it beyond the day-to-day content, diving into some awesome one-off campaigns. And that's where we're seeing, well, it's where we have the most fun because it's the most creative, but it's also where we're seeing the most success in 2016. And I think going into 2017 is just to say, okay, there's the daily blah, 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 social post, and really, of course, well planned out and strategized content on that front. But it's those one-off kind of standout campaigns or standalone campaigns that, really, I think consumers are kind of paying attention to more often than not.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're really sort of weaving this beautiful story around the brand as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it works, for sure. And that's what gets so fun, especially when you have, like for us, what's awesome is having writers and photographers coming and going and or hiring contractors where we need them. And that's where we have a pretty large pool of those now across the country. But just being able to hire the right people for the right client, a travel writer or ski junkie, if it's a mountain client, or travel and tourism. And likewise with, the photographers and videographers. And then just, putting together these almost like, in essence, they become digital magazines or these projects with kind of microsites and a lot of them have traditional aspects to them too. They'll be on the ground installations of rickshaws or, billboards or whatever it is. So it doesn't, all the things we do on digital with social media campaigns or digital marketing campaigns for clients, it doesn't preclude us from also doing on the ground events and launch parties and PR and media drops and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's where it gets really fun, is exactly that, where you're weaving that story together and you see people sit up and pay attention, which is not easy these days to cut through the noise and make a mark,
Well, how do you actually create those stories then? How do you create that sort of that brand value as part of a story for a campaign or a project?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I feel like whether it's you and I trying to come up with blog content, or a business owner or a large corporation. So often we don't realize the stories that are newsworthy that sit right under our nose. And one of my favorite things we do in one of our social school workshops, our writing for social media workshop, is we sit down and we just go through a pretty basic exercise, but it brings out brilliant blog content where we just ask questions. What are you asked about the most often? What are people most surprised about when they walk in your door? What could you talk about for days without ever getting bored? Or just things that can start to immediately create great topics or fodder for social media or blogs or whatnot. And then, with a client, likewise, we sit down at least a month in advance and have editorial meetings and try and run it like a magazine would. Although I think most print mags are 4 to 6 months out, but even a month in advance, we know what's coming. And this is where it's so important to strategize and have an editorial plan in place for your company or yourself, just to know, okay, here's my major milestones and events and talking points throughout the year. Here's the ones that matter to my clients, be it Christmas or back to school or Mother's Day or whatever, and then really planning it far in advance of that with your photo shoots or even just your simple writing and blog post planning. And then that's where, some of those stories just present themselves, especially when you can sit down and pull it out of someone. And, a chef may not think he's got anything to say until you really sit down or you go into his kitchen and you start asking about certain tactics or whatever it is, and people. And then, it all just starts to form really neat stuff. And people go, I didn't know I had much to talk about. And now I finally have something to say on social. So
Yeah, I find that too. It's like, you ask people questions and then they start to sort of open up and tell you more and more and that sort of thing. So really, in essence, you're, for lack of a better term, I've read it and heard it a lot, but we're all sort of media publishers. And based on what you're saying, that's really in essence what you do, because you're assembling the writers, you're assembling the photographer, you're sort of putting that creativity side to the projects as well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. We like to say we are storytellers, and first and foremost, that's what it's about. And I know the word storytelling is pretty overused right now in the marketing world, but that's totally what people want. Like, we all want great stories, and we say that too, EC equals MC, where now every company is a media company. I don't care how big or small you are. You don't have to have a print magazine or a coffee table book to be a publisher, because that's what we're doing. We're all content publishers and content creators. And the better you can make those stories, we often ask ourselves and our clients, would you share that? Would you read that? Would anyone care? And that actually goes back to, I say all the time to our team and our writers, I'll never forget sitting in the newsroom at the Calgary Sun and my editor saying to me, Kelly, do you think anyone gives a crap that kid placed fourth at the regional karate championships except his mom? And I said, no, absolutely not. I don't even care. Well, why are you writing it? Yeah, good question.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, well, that kind of leads me to the next phase of this is, you mentioned that there's also a lot of fodder out there too. How do you get breakthrough with your content and with your creations and your campaigns? What is there a process? Is there a procedure? Is there certain things that you do or say or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it is so tough, because everybody wants those great ideas. But the good thing I find in our world, where if we're all talking about being content creators and sort of more content marketers than straight up advertisers, is we're not looking for that $1 million idea. There's the opportunity with all the platforms at our disposal for any client or for ourselves to tell, to make great mini campaigns or great stories every single day. So I guess there's a little bit less pressure in that sense, but also, it just comes down to forming a habit of finding these niche nuggets or gold mines. We have certain people in our office and in our team that we're like, oh, bring in Caitlin. She'll know exactly what to do on this. Or like, just, it really comes down to collaboration and team brainstorming and sitting down with the client and hearing what they have to say, and then turning that into something that is, maybe a more viable or compelling story. And I don't think it's rocket science. I think that sometimes it's just a matter of stepping outside of your own business and your own day-to-day and having an outside set of eyes or three to say, you guys, what do you think it is that I'm doing right now that's worthwhile or that I could talk about? or really paying attention to what's resonating, and paying close attention to your insights and analytics on social to see what people are really resonating with, or compelled to share or like or whatever, in your own social platforms, and doing more of that. But also asking yourself that question, would I
Yeah, no.
share this? Would I care?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, would there be like some steps that you can suggest to somebody sort of trying to not necessarily replicate what you do, because obviously that can't be replicated, but just sort of some general social media content development breakthrough advice that you would be able to give?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of tools and templates at the social school, but to be honest, there's so many. You just go on Google and Google like best blog topic writing, generating ideas, or editorial calendar templates, or whatever it is. And I think that's where it comes down to sitting down and mapping them out. And I don't think that great content is an accident, or that it's, always just so off the cuff. I mean, sure, one-off posts or funny quips are like that. But when it comes to a business's content being really good, the tip is strategizing and actually planning and mapping it out. And whether that's with an annual calendar, or, a critical path that shows your 12 months of activities that, your content can then spin off of. I think, none of it is anything that's too breakthrough. I don't think it's just a matter of a necessity. What do they say? Fail to plan, and plan to fail, and fail to plan. And that's where we find too, when giving yourself enough time. So if you're planning your Christmas campaigns or your Christmas content 4 months in advance, you're going to
It's
have
too
really,
late.
yeah,
It's too
possibly.
late now.
Yeah. Right, exactly. But if you've given yourself enough time, you're going to see some really great stuff come to life, because you've had the opportunity and you've given yourself the creative freedom and time to sit down and be, different in your thinking, or do something you've never done before with it. So yeah, that's the
So,
best advice
so
I can give.
yeah, no, that's cool. So basically, planning and preparation and understanding your strategy. But are there ways to sort of define your brand strategy? Because we talked a bit about telling the story, but how do you sort of pull out that essence? And yes, ask questions, but are there certain questions that you can ask, or should ask, or maybe shouldn't ask, or is it just getting the outside influence that you talked about?
Yeah, no, I think it's one thing that I find people when they're starting in social, or maybe they're feeling a bit of a leveling off of their engagement, or they're just not sure what to do with it next, how to take it to the next level. It's sort of, to me, just always comes from finding inspiration. And I mean, look no further than fashion designers or home builders, or whatever it is, just creatives across the world. What we do is we seek inspiration in other places, or in nature, or whatever. And the best place that I find to find inspiration is online. So if you want to have a better Instagram feed, go on Instagram and study what your favorite brands are doing, and Google what are the most popular Instagram feeds right now, or who's killing it on Snapchat and why. And it doesn't take a genius to kind of look at those feeds or follow them for a few days and go, oh yeah, I see that. I get what they're putting together here, or that post is this, or that comment is that. And as they say, the new R&D is rip off and duplicate in the nicest
Well, I
way,
haven't
right?
heard of that one, but that's a good one. I'm going to
Give
use
credit where
that.
credit's due. Totally. But like, if you see a brilliant feed, like some of the ones that I follow, I do, because I'm like, man, they're just raising the bar on the quality of their photography, or the composition of photos. And I am no art director, no photographer by any means, but again, with the tools at our disposal now in our mobile phones, and the quality of the cameras in them, and just the editing tools as apps on your phone, or just so many hacks to get you to having better content, and then also posting it and publishing it through automation tools or schedulers, or boosting that content with a little bit of Facebook help. And all of that stuff, is not a master's degree. It's stuff you can learn over the weekend, and then just better your game as you go. It just takes a bit of time and commitment.
Yeah, but by immersing yourself in it, you're really
Yeah,
kind of seeing what can be done, or shouldn't be done, I guess. Um,
absolutely.
do you find though that that's maybe cheapening the profession? Because you said, well, you can just sort of go and practice for a weekend and then you could come out the other side as a social media pro, or is there sort of more to it?
Right. Oh, I love how you made that. You simplified that for me. Okay, so what I would say is that you're not going to be a pro, but to be honest, none of us are. I think that if you have the budget to hire an agency to do your social media for you and to really create great content, you're going to be in a great place. And it's going to take a whole lot of weight off your shoulders, and you can trust that it's going to be happening. But for most small business owners or even mid-level marketing professionals who are charged with this kind of thing, and communicators in general, they need to have a better understanding of how it all works. Whether that means that then they can execute on a higher level, or they can go hire contractors and know what they're hiring and hire agencies and not get ripped off or taken for a ride. I think having an understanding of what all these platforms do and which ones are winning and which ones are, requiring certain things within the posts, be it because of an algorithm or because of the user experience that they're trying to protect, et cetera. We all need to have a basic understanding of what's what on particularly, Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter is still making a comeback and doing its best, Snapchat, et cetera, all the things that are growing and not going away. And I think we're all thinking about social media on such a short-term basis. And it's been around for, maybe 10 or 15 years but 5 or 10 that we've been using it as businesses, even less. So it's going to be here for decades to come. And I think we all need to think about a little bit more long-term, a little bit less vanity metrics of how many likes and followers do I have and what can I do to improve my engagement, and, worrying less about impressions and more about, attention. Where's the attention of my audience and my user base, and how do I go there? And if their attention is on Snapchat, well, I better get on Snapchat. Or if they're only on LinkedIn, then that's where I need to be. And so I guess to me, it's a bit of burying your head in the sand if you're refusing to have a basic understanding of it, if you're refusing to use the tools, but then wanting them to work for you and wanting to take advantage of the greatest, most free marketing tools man's ever known, so I guess I get pretty passionate about making sure that even whether we're doing the work for our clients or it's someone coming to the social school and trying to better their own insight and knowledge of social media, just that whoever it is we're working with, knows the value of these platforms and knows how to use them themselves and take it up a notch as opposed to just kind of fumbling through them. And that's where I say, pay as much attention to them as you can, get in and use them as often as you can, even if you're just a voyeur, but be on there and see what other companies are doing. And if nothing else, it's just really, truly inspiring as opposed to daunting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And most people aren't voyeurs, just so you know. So here, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's great. More active users.
Yeah,
better.
let's go. Actually do something online. Don't just stand around watching people do stuff. So the $1 million question is, how do you consider, return on investment on social? And I get that question a lot, and that's why I'm asking you. How do you define the financial value to what you do? Is there an equation, or is there it's just sort of chalk it up to marketing? How do you view that?
Well, I guess, as they say, you never know, spend $1 on marketing, you never know which 50 cents work. But with digital marketing, so if we're really just talking about social media, the ability to measure your engagement or your reach and your ad campaign performance, if you're spending money, particularly on your Facebook posts or your Facebook ads, it's unparalleled. You can't buy an ad in a magazine or a newspaper or radio and have any idea who saw it, who clicked on it, who shared it, how old they were, where they lived, what they like, what demographic they are. And so for us, and we're doing more of this training, and we actually I had a fellow over for Thanksgiving, and we spent 4 hours going through our new digital advertising course yesterday. And it's
on
so
the
much
holiday too. You're dedicated.
On the holiday. No, he was dedicated.
Did you at least bring the turkey, or?
Yeah, I did. I bought a pre-made turkey.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. Companies, business owners, marketing professionals, everybody needs to have more analytics than they've ever had. We are in one of the worst recessions in Western Canada or in Alberta that we've ever known. And so I tell you, if a client gives you $5, they are like adamant that it goes far. And I feel the same way right now, so I get it. So that's where what's really cool is that social media and Facebook in particular is making the measurement tools built into the platform so easy to use and so simple to see, okay, which post or which ad is costing me 2 cents a click and which one's costing me $2 a click, and how do I turn that one off and optimize this one. And likewise on Instagram, something as simple as, if you're not doing paid ads, just now having the ability to turn your Instagram feed into a business feed, and you can see simple insights about when people engage the most and at what time and on what days and to what types of content. So again, it's like just using the tools at your disposal is the quickest way to prove ROI and to actually have something to say when someone asks you, well, what is your time and money being spent on? And then likewise, making sure that your Google Analytics are set up on your website properly. We all can often say, well, my audience is actually women aged 25 to 35 because that's who's engaging with my Facebook posts. Well, no, the last bastion of your marketing efforts is who lands on your website, really. And especially if you're trying to sell something online, and who's landing on your website is probably very different than who's engaging with your Facebook posts. And that might be a much more general or much older or younger, whatever audience. So just knowing how to tap into those very simple numbers. You don't have to be an SEO expert or some sort of digital analytics genius, but just knowing those basic overarching stats and paying attention to them is, to me, the best kind of way to see ROI and measure it and do better going forward than anything we've ever had in the past with our marketing efforts. So every time I'm asked this question, I think to myself, well, tell me what your ROI was on that billboard, or what anecdotal proof you have that anybody saw that newspaper ad. And tell me, did that magazine publisher give you stats on how many people actually read it or clicked it or shared it? Like, it just doesn't exist. So yeah, I guess that's my long way of saying that you just have to be able to know what to read to understand the ROI and to report on it.
Yeah, or ask them, how are you currently making money?
Yeah. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, what does your bank account say?
Yeah.
It's empty? Oh, I don't know. You're in the wrong business.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that social media is going to be around for quite some time, obviously as a sort of a channel to advertising and content development and storytelling and all those other buzzwords. But what do you see sort of coming up in the next 5 years? 5 years plus? How will we be using social different? How will businesses be using it different?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that it won't just be mostly mobile, it's going to be all mobile. I think that we have to expect that very few of us are going to be toting around our laptops and sitting on desktops anymore. I think we'll be, in terms of engaging with our content, I think that most people are doing that on the move now anyways, and more than you'd think. I'm always shocked when I log in, particularly to our more robust sites like the Social School, where it's a curriculum-based website. You dive in and you read about our programs, and yet still 78% of our traffic is mobile. So it just never ceases to amaze me how this is happening, and well, it's happened. So I think it's considering all of those elements, and then also, well, I mean, I've just basically been having my eyes open recently to AR and VR. So augmented reality and virtual reality, and how these are going to play into social media and just all the user experiences online. If we know one thing about social media platforms right now, it's that they are all just hell-bent on making sure that the user experience is top-notch so that they don't lose people. And that's why Twitter is flailing, because they never did introduce an algorithm. They never did kind of start to curate the content that shows up in your feed. So it's this fire hose every time you turn it on. Every time you open Twitter, you just see everything. Whereas Facebook is making it harder and harder and more expensive for businesses to advertise on there or to have a presence on there, because they want their users to stick around, and they know that most people are on Facebook to engage with friends and family. So yeah, I think it's going to be a matter of getting more and more creative with our content, as we already are all trying to do. More video, like live video in particular, and about as real as you can get to that effect. I mean, Snapchat is doing what it's doing with, what do they say, 10 billion video views per day on Snapchat right now, because it's about as real and raw and authentic as you can possibly find on the internet. And I think that's what humans and consumers are demanding, pulling back the cloak of these really polished feeds and advertising campaigns and just seeing who's behind a company or a business and wanting to buy from them.
Yeah, no, fascinating. So how should a business prepare then for what's to come?
Good question. Put out a tripod and just start filming no, I don't know.
Get one of those
I
360 cams.
GoPro on your head.
Stick it on my head. Yeah, away I go.
I would say again, it just comes down to paying attention to where these platforms are going. You don't have to be an early adopter of every single thing that comes out, but
That's called the shiny object syndrome.
the shiny object, totally, and I'm very guilty of it. And we can't all be in all places. So back the social horses that you believe in and that you can sustainably do well over a long-term period. And don't worry about the ones that may be falling off. People lament the fact that they've invested so much time in Twitter and what's going to happen with Twitter. Well, bottom line, Twitter probably did a lot of good things for you while Twitter was winning the game. And now maybe that'll move over to Snapchat. But so shift, and I would say the same thing to businesses. Just evolve and shift and be nimble and be okay with the fact that it's always going to change. If you think that Twitter's going to be around 10 years from now, you're probably wrong. It'll be something totally different. We'll all be like hologram videos showing up in each other's living rooms or something. So I think that for businesses, it's just a matter of, staying on top, follow a couple news feeds, whether that's TechCrunch or Contently or whatever, follow some of your favorite bloggers or podcasters like Doyle.
Oh, thank you.
Be in the know about what's coming down the pipe. But yeah, really pick your battles because it's so easy to get overwhelmed. And I'm there myself. I think the entrepreneurial battle is very real and it can be lonely and daunting and you just never feel like you're winning the game. But I think as long as you are making small gains and at the end of the day, your business is thriving and being profitable, then you're okay. You're doing something right.
Yeah. And I think you need to turn off the fire hose of content too and just focus on your own as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For you to deliver that. So you've got an amazing event coming up. Tell me a bit about that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, it's called The Post, Canada's Modern Marketing Forum. And we had done something called the Social Summit last year, along with a fellow named Mike out of Calgary. And we ended up realizing when that was over last November 2015, we had seen 400 people come for this really cool marketing and social media conference at a small theater, and it packed the house, and we sold it out. And it really, really hit us that what people want in our city, but Western Canada, I would say, is more face-to-face engagement, more time away from their keyboards, and again, just more learning and staying on top of trends. And the universities and colleges right now are not able to offer things as they come up, like Snapchat 101 or a quick webinar on the Instagram algorithm change or whatever it was. So that's when the Social School was born as a year-round product or program. And then from there, we decided that we wanted to go a little bit bigger too. The Social Summit was really cool, but it was pretty local. And, my partner Sarah and I end up traveling south a lot to the US to go to marketing conferences or digital summits and social media kind of gatherings. So we thought, why not celebrate what Canada's got a little bit more? And The Post was born. So we've got authors and thought leaders like yourself coming from around the globe, which is super exciting. And then we've got a lot of, we're calling them, everybody, the leaders, doers, and disruptors. So a lot of founders and CMOs and CEOs of some companies across Canada that have done it. Like they're small and big companies, but they've done it on a shoestring budget or kind of bootstrap their way into hearts and minds and have unbelievable social media feeds for, that have just kind of caught on and then led to huge sales for them. And so, yeah, we're really excited about it. It's 3 days at the end of October.
Fantastic. And who should be coming to this?
Gosh, lots of marketing professionals so far obviously have registered, and we also are just very aware of how much businesses and business owners can benefit from knowing what's happening in marketing, because really they're all one and the same. I mean, sales and marketing have been linked together for as long as I've been alive, and likewise, I think if you're in sales or you are in business development or business ownership or entrepreneurship, it's really key to know some of the most important and free ways to grow your business, and that being digital marketing and social media. So any and all interested in doing better online and better in their business.
Oh, fantastic. And will there be leftover turkey or?
Oh, you just wait and see. There'll be lots.
I want a turkey sandwich and some stuffing. And pumpkin pie. I haven't had that.
Oh, noted. I know what to have waiting for you in your hotel room.
No, cool. No, awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate your time. How can people find you online?
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, thesocialschool.ca is where we're at, and we're launching our virtual programs pretty soon here. By January, they'll all be online, and we're really excited to reach more people and scale our business and, again, just have smaller, bite-sized, affordable programs, courses, workshops available to everybody.
Cool. Thesocialschool.ca?
That's right, yeah.
Excellent, cool. And we'll have all of those links on the website as well, thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. So, again, a pleasure to discuss some details of social. I love what you're doing with building the brand, building the story, getting out there and creating that breakthrough as well. So it was fascinating talking with you.
Thanks, Doyle. You as well. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. All right, well, take care, and we'll see everybody online. Thank you very much for listening to Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own online. If you have any comments on the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter @DoyleBuehler with the hashtag #OwnOnline. I would really appreciate it if you could share this podcast with your network, as I'm sure they will get some value from it for building their successful business online as well. You can find the resources that we talked about, as well as the transcript and full podcast for download on thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast or on iTunes or on SoundCloud. I'm Doyle Buehler, and I will see you online.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Digital with Doyle Buehler. While he goes and makes a sandwich, you can find all of the notes, links, and details on this podcast by visiting thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. Go on and click that now. www.thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. I'll definitely click that. If you'd like a free copy of the book, The Digital Delusion, How to Overcome the Misguidance and Misinformation Online, just send an email to doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. See you online.